Hello everyone, welcome back. So the other day I did a video on the compost pile I had, and I was sieving it, and I did say in that video that I would show you how I build a new pile, and I didn't get round to it because I couldn't get that pile emptied because it was too wet to go through the sieve and all that. So you've now seen that I've just finished that pile. It's now just about, that's it, there you go, pretty much empty. It's down to the soil. So it's time to get some material in there, browns and greens, and start a new pile. So I'll show you how I do that. It is a little bit windy outside today, so I'm going to have to be a bit selective how I do the filming and talking and stuff, but I'm sure we'll manage. Right, let's get on. So the first thing I want to get in this pile is some browns. So sticks, dead weed stems, all that sort of stuff. And I want about a 3 or 4 inch layer in there. That's sort of when it's compressed. So I need to put a bit more than that in there really. And what that'll do is it will put some browns on top of this stuff that's left in the bottom of the pile. It will allow for air to get in at the bottom of the pile, and it will also allow for water drainage if the compost gets too wet. So I do have up there a big pile of weed stems, so I think that's what I'm going to start with. Okay, so there's more there than I thought, which is good. So a lot of these are thistles, and there's a lot of seed there as well. So I hope this pile gets hot and kills the seeds. So there must be at least a foot there in depth of stems. So that's obviously going to compress a lot as we fill this heap up. So as a green layer, this is just waste out of the kitchen. So there's tea bags, avocado peelings, bits of onion, potato, all sorts in there. And then this is all the peelings from the parsnips that I harvested the other day and peeled, chopped up and froze. So they can go in. When you put your stuff in the compost, try and spread it as evenly as you can. That just helps it a bit. And you can see we've got eggshells in there as well, parsnip tops, there's all sorts in there. So the more diverse things you can put in it, the better really. So what I'm going to do next is put a load of coffee grounds on top of that to try and get a 3-inch layer, because I've got a lot of coffee and I've got to get rid of it somewhere. Okay, so that's the vegetable waste, kitchen waste, and probably a good 20 or 25 kilos of coffee grounds in there. I haven't put those to 3 inches thick because they're so dense. I don't want to put too much in, so I'll put probably a couple of inches in there. So what we're going to do now is another layer of those weed stems. So there we go, we've got a brown layer, a green layer because coffees are green, and another brown layer. Even though there's little bits of green in there, a bit of ivy there and stuff, it is a brown layer. It's predominantly brown. So what I'm going to do now is these bits of bark that came out of the previous compost heap, I'm going to put those in there as well. Now these won't rot down particularly quickly, but they are adding goodness to the compost, some carbon, and I've got nowhere else to put them other than throw them away or burn them, so they can go in there. It all adds to the flavour. So what we need now is some more greens, and I don't want to put more coffee in at this point because, as I said, diversity is the key. So I think I'm going to, we've got a bucket of weeds over there, another one there, and I'm going to dig up all those celery and celeriac that are no good anymore and get those in. So that's another layer of greens in there. Need another layer of browns. Now I've got quite a lot of stuff that needs shredding, so I think I'm going to go with that. So that's a box full of shreddings, and you could argue this is a mixed layer really. It's a green and brown layer, I suppose. Had I let the Christmas tree die right back, I suppose it would have just been a brown layer, but that doesn't matter. You want it to be mixed anyway in the heat. That's the point of putting it in layers. If you really wanted to make the heat work as fast as possible, you could mix it a lot more than in layers. You could, you know, a bucket of greens, a bucket of browns, you could mix it up with a fork in the heap, but that's quite a lot more work, so I tend to just do layers. So we're going to call this a mix. So when I was on site the other day, a customer was sweeping his yard of all the leaves, and I said to him, "All right, over the leaves," and he was like, "Yeah, no problem." He said, "In fact, take the bin as well. I've got too many bins." So I've got a whole bin full of leaves, which is a brown, and one of the best browns that you could put in your compost, because they have the fungus and what have you in them from the trees and the woods, and that all helps to get things going in the heap. So bin full of leaves and a free bin, which I'm sure I'll find a use for. So let's get these in there as well. So now I've got a layer of browns in there, I need another layer of greens, and unless I do a lot of weeding, at the moment I don't have a lot of greens left. So it's going to have to be the rest of the coffee grounds that I've got, and that should be about right for another layer. I'm running out of browns now. Now I've put another layer of greens in there with a coffee. So a good source of carbon and a brown material for the compost is cardboard. Just normal brown cardboard that you get deliveries in and what have you. So pull the tape off it and any labels, and then tear it up as small as you can get it. I tried to aim for like 2 or 3 inches square, something like that. If you can get it even smaller, all the better. And put that in as a layer of browns, but maybe not 3 or 4 inches thick, maybe only about 1 inch thick, because I find that if it dries out in the heap, it tends to stick together in like a piece of wood, you know, and it really is quite difficult to break down then in the heap. So add it in thin layers as a brown. Okay, so that's the cardboard in. I'll do a bit more when I've finished filming, but now a lot of what I've put in the heap is quite dry. Other than the celery, the weeds and the peelings, they're quite dry. The coffee's quite dry. So as I mentioned in the video the other day, you do need to keep the heap damp for it to work properly. So what I'm going to do is give the heap a water, and that will also dampen the cardboard down that's on the top and stop it blowing away. Okay, so that's the heap pretty full. It's going to sink quite a bit over the next week or so. So we will keep adding so I'll put a bit more cardboard in, but then we'll keep adding some greens from the kitchen waste, etc. Probably for another few weeks we'll keep adding to this, and then I'll close it down and cover it with some plastic, just some compost bags cut open with black side facing out, and then when it is sunny, that helps to heat the pile as well. Now, one last job to do, and that is add the compost thermometer, soil thermometer. So air temperature at the moment is about 9 degrees. So I'm going to put this in the middle of the pile and we shall see what temperature it is in about a week's time. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed that video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already and you like this sort of content and you want to see more of it, then please subscribe, and if you hit the bell icon, then you'll be notified every time I put a new video out. Thanks a lot. Cheers.